We haven't seen too many magical moments out of Christian Yelich in recent years. We saw a lot of those in 2018 and 2019. Yelich was that guy on Tuesday night. He was in a bunch of moments, and he produced. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And that was old school Yelich. 33 years old, going to be 34 in December. And I have some doubts whether or not he is that same guy or can ever be a guy who can put up big moments. He's failed so many times this year. How many times have we been disappointed with Christian Yelich at the plate? How many of us said when he was leading off of the ninth inning, got down in the count, oh, here we go again. Or the 10th inning. The 10th inning, bases loaded, 1 out. And we all forecasted a Christian Yelich double play. I know the pessimists out there, we're just trained that way as Brewers fans, but he delivered not only in the 10th, but in the 9th as well to go to extra innings. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman, late night, early morning on a Wednesday here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thanks for joining me here in the early morning hours and making us your first listen to every day here on Locked On Brewers. My name is Chuck Freeman, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin, talk show host and proud host of Locked On Brewers. After the game, Christian Yelich, a tweet was put out by the Milwaukee Brewers. It said, one of the greatest moments in the storied career of Christian Yelich. Now, I'll say this, and to recap quickly, in case anybody was in a cave on Tuesday night, Christian Yelich, they were down 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth inning. A game that was going nowhere, really. A game that was going nowhere. The Brewers were 3 hit through 8 innings by 5 different pitchers. It was the Boston Red Sox were bullpenning this game. It was a dud of the game. In fact, the only run of the game was scored not on an RBI, but on a wild pitch that Ashby had thrown in the middle innings that allowed Boston to take the lead. And it looked like, man, this is the first time I'm ever going to see a Brewers game where somebody won on a wild pitch to break a scoreless tie and it would hold up for a win. But the dramatics were just about ready to start in the bottom of the ninth inning. Yelich got behind an account, and the left-handed hitting Yelich hit one off the handle of his bat, and it rolled down the third base line, just inside the third base line for a leadoff double. A leadoff double. Went to third, stole third, and he's doing this on a roll-less Chapman. Now, Roll-less isn't the guy he once was. He's played for like 32 different teams. He's played for everybody but Milwaukee, I feel. And there was rumors of him coming here even a few years ago. But Chapman isn't that guy. And with that leg kick of his, Yelich was easily able to take third. So we had runners at first and third, and Sal Frelick delivers the game-tying base hit. How cool was that? Delivers the game-tying base hit, and Yelich comes in from third, and we're tied at 1. And then we get to the top of the 10th, and that's where Rob Yastrzemski. For some reason, I have problems pronouncing Rob's name. This is his second tour of duty with the Milwaukee Brewers. Yastrzemski, and the Brewers traded for him like 2 weeks ago. The Brewers must see something they really like in Rob Z, as he's referred to, because nobody else really wants him except the Milwaukee Brewers. Maybe because he's left-handed. But he got him in a tough spot. First and third, nobody out in the top of the 10th inning. And I got Duran and Devers out to end the inning. And then the Brewers came back, loaded the bases for Christian Yelich, with one out, and he delivered a grand slam in Yelich fashion. Again, the Brewers tweet, one of the greatest moments in the storied career of Christian Yelich. I pause and I hesitate to think that it's a storied career. Sure, it was in 2018 and 2019. Look how many big moments he was. There was a time when I said on Wisconsin sports radio, excuse me, that Christian Yelich was on his way to becoming one of the greatest Milwaukee Brewers of all time. Not because he was winning just an MVP, and maybe should have won it in 2019 as well. And he did so not just with big numbers, just not with the big numbers, but all the big moments he was in. And I think sometimes the national media doesn't see all the big moments that we do as Brewers fans and us who cover the team. And we all know Christian Yelich, look how many big moments he always put himself in the middle of in 2018 and 2019. Always delivering. You could always count when Christian Yelich was at the plate, he was going to do something to create some magic. And I said back then, 6 years ago, I said, Yelich is right now the greatest Milwaukee Brewer ever. And that included Robin Yount and Paul Molitor. He was going down to have a statue outside of AmFam Field. He was on that pace because he was just so unbelievable in 2018 and 2019. And yeah, maybe because of injury, the knee injury that he suffered at the end of 2019, whatever it is, we'll never know, I guess. But Yelich has never been that kind of guy again. All right, let's be honest. He's not been that kind of guy. Yeah, we've seen flashes of it. But Tuesday night, for all those, and he's got a lot of fans out there yet. We still see the number 22 jerseys. He's got a lot of detractors out there and a lot of fans. But Yelich, kind of, for you Yelich fans out there, he kind of brought you back to 2018 and 2019, didn't he? By what he did in the ninth inning, that leadoff double. Wasn't the prettiest of hits. Oppo just inside the line at third base. And then the grand slam, though. Just not a flyout. Not just a bounce of one hopper off the wall with the bases loaded. A grand slam. And that for Yelich, the first time in his career, and I hesitate to say storied career, first time he's ever had a walk-off home run. Odd, huh? A guy who's been in so many big moments, as I mentioned, 2019, 2018, that he has never walked off a game with a home run. Never. And in this case, a grand slam. Now, he says he did it in the minor leagues, but he's never did it on the major league level. But none of us are feeling great when he comes out, but good for him. And again, the fans, 26,000 fans came out on Tuesday night, a cool night. Roof was closed, and you saw two teams with losing records. But 26,000 on Tuesday night, and school's not even all out in Wisconsin. And they weren't giving away prime rib dinners or anything, or $1 hot dogs. Fans were coming out, 26,000 to see the Brewers and Red Sox play. Okay, this wasn't the Brewers and Red Sox in the 80s when they were in the American League East together. This was, an intercity clash, interleague clash. And man, the fans were treated to a terrible game. 3 hits through 8 innings against a team that was bullpenning their way through the game. But then the magic in the 9th inning and the 10th inning made it all worthwhile. And for the first time since May 7th, the Brewers are at the 500 mark. They've tried a few times to get there. In fact, I believe I was talking to Hunter Baumgart in the press box, and he told me that they've tried 5 times or so to get to the 500 mark and have not been able to get there. But at 28 and 28, they are at the 500 mark. And they need to get there, and they need to get beyond the 500 mark as well. They need to get behind the 500 mark and continue to escalate, because the Cubs are running away with things right now. I don't think they're ever going to see below 10 games under the 500 mark, the Cubs. The Brewers have dug themselves a hole. And yeah, I know some people have gotten on me because I say, yeah, I just take 2 or 3 from a team. Take 2 or 3. But there's an opportunity to sweep the Boston Red Sox, I think. I think in this case, you got to go ahead and sweep them. You got to sweep the Red Sox. I don't want to be seeing any Sunday lineup in coming up on Wednesday. You know, the old lineup that we always see when the Brewers win the first 2 games of a series, and then you see a dud of a lineup in there. I don't want to be seeing that. I want to be waking up Wednesday morning. Well, I'll be up by then anyway. Driving to the ballpark, and a tweet comes in and shows me that lineup, my alert. And we're seeing this, the old infamous Sunday lineup. So we'll get to the starting pitchers, and I'll tell you why they should sweep coming up here in a little bit. Coming up next, though, starting pitching. The Brewers have a surplus of starting pitching, and somebody who's pitching real well might get sent down. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Supply House. Hey, I mentioned early mornings. Guys in my neighborhood take advantage of Supply House. Man, these are the guys who make the country go. I'm talking about plumbing, HVAC, electrical work. Supply House, 2 guys now in my neighborhood. I've turned on a Supply House, the reliable way to order products online. These guys are out in the early in the morning with their trucks, and they're coming back right when sunset comes, working hard and using Supply House. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. You always talk to a real person, never some recording. With Supply House, they have a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, 400 plus top brands. You'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks, dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts in every order. Thousands of skilled professionals already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Here's what you need to do. Join Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use that promo code SH5. You'll get 5% off that first order. Supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Good to have you on here early Wednesday morning. Noon start. Quick turnaround for the Milwaukee Brewers after a late night at the ballpark at Tuesday night. And by the way, our podcast, appreciate all you guys who write in and comment and wherever you could, on YouTube or my Twitter account. By the way, my Twitter account, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. And of course, our growing platforms for Locked On Brewers, wherever you download the audio platform, audio podcast, Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all the audio platforms out there. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet because you Brewer fans out there. So we have so many people who listen on our audio platforms, but please too, hit us up on YouTube, our growing YouTube page. We're hitting the 5,000 subs very soon. Love to have you aboard on a permanent subscriber. It's all free. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. And I appreciate you guys joining me and making me your first listen to every day. All right. Starting pitching. Would you believe that a team that's 28-28, and there's cries for pitching all the time with Brewers fans, which I don't get because they've had great starting pitching. It's the offense that has just been brutal, as was the example on Tuesday night until the 9th and 10th innings. So the starting pitching, Savali actually did a nice job. Scoreless work on Tuesday night. But what's happening here very soon for the Brewers is that Quintana is going to be coming back off the injured list. Brandon Woodruff is going to be back very soon. So Quintana on Tuesday night in Appleton on a rehab start, 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 71 pitches. Brandon Woodruff is going to make a rehab start again in Appleton. And I know it seems like Woodruff is going to break the record for most rehab starts ever by a Milwaukee Brewer pitcher or any pitcher by that matter. But Quintana and Woodruff will soon be coming off the injury list, and and we'll be done with these. And it sounds like Quintana might even be done with after one rehab start and ready to go again. So Pat Murphy was asked before the game, what are you going to do? You got some tough decisions to make. He threw it back. What do you want me to do? Say Quintana, Woodruff, we're not activating you? They got some time. They got some money invested in two of those guys. Well, Quintana, $4.5 million, but they signed him. They're not releasing him. Woodruff, man, they've been paying him for 2 years now, and he hasn't pitched an inning. You darn right he's going to make the team. You're going to find a roster spot for him. So there is a numbers issue with the Milwaukee Brewers once again. I know none of us were happy when Logan Henderson got sent down. He got sent down on Memorial Day, and everybody was upset about that, but that was a numbers issue again. And I get it. It seems like the Brewers are sending guys down who are doing the job. And the next guy could be Chad Patrick, who's been pretty much a mainstay in this rotation for 2 months, right? I mean, we've liked everyone. When is Chad Patrick? He has not been shelled yet this year. He's been pretty good. But Murph was hinting Patrick might be the odd man out and get sent down to AAA. Can you believe it? Two guys you could argue have been their two best outside of Freddy Peralta. Henderson down at AAA, and it could be Chad Patrick as well. Because the Brewers have just too many starting pitchers. I knew this was going to be a problem. And this is why I didn't want to get Quinn Priester. I knew this was going to be a problem. But no, the Milwaukee Brewers panicked and they went out and traded a first-round pick and a young 18-year-old prospect who I liked, plus a player to be named later in a desperation move for unproven Quinn Priester. So that adds one more guy to the mix. They're not sending him down. They're keeping him on the roster. So what's going to happen? Well, Chad Patrick appears right now, if you do the math and you read between the lines, he might, barring injury, he might be the guy sent down. When I say barring injury, unless somebody gets hurt on this staff, God forbid, or there's a setback with one of these other guys who are rehabbing, it appears Chad Patrick might be that guy. We'll find out. We'll find out real soon, but it's a numbers game, just like it was a numbers game with Henderson. Plus, they had to activate DL Hall. DL Hall is going to be on this roster. They traded with Baltimore. They made the big trade. They got Ortiz back. They got DL Hall back. And when they traded Corbin Burns to the Orioles, or second, or I forgot Corbin's name. He pitched on Tuesday night too for Arizona. When they traded Corbin Burns, DL Hall was the guy they wanted. And it's not been an eventful year and a half or so for DL Hall as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers, but he's going to get every opportunity when healthy to be on this roster because they like him a lot. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they don't like him as much as they had last year because he has been ineffective and he has not been healthy, although he pitched well on Monday. So DL Hall is on this team. Therefore, Henderson had to get sent down. They were going to make room for DL Hall. They weren't going to DFA him or release him or whatever, or keep him down at AAA. He was going to be on this team. That's what they got him for. That's what they traded for him, DL Hall. In the bullpen, same with Ashby. They're paying some money to. He's going to be on this roster. When healthy, they look at Ashby as being part of the future. They signed him, okay, and they're going to put him on the roster. Long relief. We saw him win Tuesday night, and he bounced one in the dirt for the go-ahead run there in the middle innings. But still, he's going to be on this team. As a result, guys like Chad Patrick and Logan Henderson, for now, they lose out on a numbers game. Hopefully not for long, but that is the way it goes in baseball. It does. How about that? The Brewers have their starting pitchers, and they've used, 18 or 19 different starters, I feel like, this year. Maybe not that many, but sure seems like it. They've used so many different starters, and yet their ERA is third in the National League. Their ERA is third in the National League with a 3.59. Their starting pitching has an ERA of 3.59. What an odd team this is. They're terrible in the clutch. They're futile once it was through long stretches offensively. They haven't put up double-digit runs since April, like mid-April. Their bullpen is real. I like their bullpen. Their bullpen is taxed, and yet, despite all this, a taxed bullpen, a Punch and Judy type offense, their starting pitching has one of the best in baseball, ERA-wise, and the Brewers are 28-28. Sitting 6.5 games behind the Cubs. We get back, we'll update those standings and how the Brewers, why they have to sweep this series now. Now they have to sweep this series. We'll talk about how they can do it and why they should next here on Locked On Brewers. Thanks for making us your first listen to every day here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman here. All right, and thanks for those of you who are dropping the notes and listening to us on the way to the ballpark today. You know, wherever you're listening to us on Apple or whatever, or viewing us on YouTube, thank you very much. Making us part of your Wednesday. All right, the NL Central, real quickly here. NL Central, the Brewers remain 6.5 out, tied with Cincinnati. 6.5 out. St. Louis won again. I mean, the Cardinals are just unbelievable. The Cardinals are finding the magic the Brewers didn't have the Brewers had last year, but don't really have this year. St. Louis 3 games out. The Cubs beat Colorado. Shocker. Came from behind in the extra innings. They were down and rallied to win. So the Cubs are 34-21. Brewers 6.5 out behind the Cubs, 3.5 out of the wild card, which I was talking about yesterday's podcast. I'm almost liking my chances now at the wild card better than catching the Cubs, because the Cubs seem like they're on a mission to win this division championship, aren't they? They sure do. I'm on a mission to get a sweep. I think you got to sweep this series now. Boston is missing Bregman. They're not hitting right now. They bullpen their way to a game on Tuesday and almost beat the Brewers. Brian Bello pitches for them. He's got a 4.48 earned run average, and he's 2-1. Meantime, Freddy Peralta, 5-3, 2.55 earned run average. All right. All of the starts, I think, have been terrific, except what Freddie's running into is short starts, but a high pitch count. So he's out of there after 5 innings. And I'm telling you, Freddie needs to give them 6 or 7 because they're down a few guys. Now, Uribe and McGill, I bet you they're available on Wednesday, even though they've pitched a lot. They did not pitch on Tuesday night. But Uribe and McGill, I would think, are ready to pitch. I would say Ashby's not. Hall, maybe, although I don't know, after he pitched 2 1/3 on Monday, coming back from injury. We'll see how much they want to stress that out. But with Freddie on the hill, I think Freddie's going to give him 6 or 7. He went 8 earlier this year, and he's got to give them, it's a must right now. With the bullpen the way it is, Freddie has got to give them some length. Freddie has got to give them some length. And I think he's up for it. Boston is not very good right now, even though, they're only 2-3 games under the 500 mark. It's there for the Brewers. The Brewers, by the way, on the odds on FanDuel, saw them at minus 160. Minus 160 with Freddie on the hill. Not bad. Not bad at all. Minus 160. I like the Brewers in a sweep. I do like the Brewers in a sweep. I know I usually don't pick the Brewers a sweep. I always say at least 2 or 3. But in this case, even if they lost on Wednesday, I'd be disappointed because, the Brewers need to go on a run here and be able to, and it's got to start stacking wins. And I'm talking, let's do what the Cardinals did The Cardinals went on a nice run. The Twins went on a nice run. The Brewers need to go on a similar, like 7 or 8 game run to give themselves some distance over the 500 mark. Now that you got to the 500 mark at 28 and 28, time to start taking off and playing some ball. And Frelick, by the way, not only the base hit in the 9th inning, lefty against lefty on Chapman, he also threw a runner out at third base in that game, trying to tag up from second. I don't know what that guy was doing, but man, trying to go from second to third on a medium range fly ball on Frelick. Are you kidding me? Red Sox, did you do your scouting report? My goodness. And that sort of thing is what has worked for the Brewers in the past 2 years. Outthinking the other team and, other teams doing stupid things against the Brewers, like trying to run on Frelick on a medium fly ball to third. Please. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this episode, late night, early Wednesday morning, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. My name is Chuck Freeman. Thank you very much for making us your first listen to every day. And again, follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. And please don't forget to subscribe to our growing YouTube page. Hit the subscribe button once you get to YouTube. Look up Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Have yourself a great Wednesday, and let's get the sweep. I want to be back here on the microphone on a Wednesday night talking about a sweep of this series. I'll be disappointed if they don't. See you then, everybody.